I was born a woman. That's what they often say. What I'm saying is, no one was born anything.
What? You are losing me in a huge way.
Why?
You don't think that some women are born women and you don't think you're born a man?
No.
All right, buckle up, this one's going to be a wild ride. Imagine this, you're watching Joe Rogan's podcast. The guest is a woke university professor who boldly claims no one is born anything. Not a man, not a woman, nothing. And you're just sitting there thinking, wait, what? Rogan's face says it all a mix of curiosity and you've got to be kidding me. The conversation starts with the professor tossing out classic postmodernist points. You know the ones. Gender is a social construct, biology is overrated, woman is just an idea, yada yada. It's the kind of stuff you'd expect in a gender studies lecture where disagreeing gets you side-eye from the whole class. But here's the twist. This isn't just defending trans ideology. The professor is actually criticizing parts of the trans movement for saying they were born a certain gender. His argument, nope, you weren't born anything at all.
Trans movement, for instance, right? That started from postmodernism. That whole idea, right, is that, if you were born with a penis, you're a man and you should do X, Y, and Z with your life, right? The trans movement needed postmodernism to make that intervention and say, no, that's not true, right? You can actually be a woman because woman is an invention, it's a social construct. What much of the trans movement now is doing, which makes me so sad, is that they're saying that I am biologically, essentially, naturally, in my core, a woman. No one is. No one is.
We're deep in what the heck territory now. This is where Rogan really shines. He doesn't immediately attack. Instead, he starts asking simple, direct questions, the kind that seem harmless but make the whole argument crumble. He asks, okay, so if you weren't born a man, what were you? Boom. Silence.
The whole point of this movement used to be that you get to choose your gender or choose not to be a gender. You get to move around. Your destiny is not determined for you. What a lot of the trans movement now is doing is a good word, reifying. They're making these ideas, these abstractions real again. They're making these claims that are similar to Sam Harris's claims and to old racist claims and to old sexist claims that if you're born a particular way biologically, this is who you are. Right? Because you've heard a lot of trans people say this, right? I was born a woman. That's what they often say. What I'm saying is, no one was born anything.
What? You are losing me in a huge way.
Why?
You don't think that some women are born women and you don't think you're born a man?
No.
What are you born? Why are you a man?
For all sorts of reasons.
You can almost hear the gears turning in the professor's head. This is the moment you see that these high-concept theories sound fine in an academic echo chamber. But once you bring them into the real world and ask a direct question, they fall apart. Rogan is just getting started. He keeps firing questions rapid, precise, relentless. What makes you a man? Why don't chromosomes count? So XY doesn't matter. Testicles don't matter. Your biological ability to impregnate a woman doesn't matter.
What are you born? Why are you a man?
For all sorts of reasons.
For all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
None of them being
well,
biological.
We just decided.
None of them being the XY chromosome. None of them being you have testicles. None of them being you have a penis. None of them being the fact that you generally gravitate towards male activities like boxing, kickboxing, aggressive things.
We just went through this whole thing.
No, you didn't.
Yoel Romero and Andy Dick.
Yeah, but you.
Why are they both men?
But you.
Yeah.
You're a man.
Yeah.
Right? We're not talking about the broad spectrum of masculine behavior. We're talking about no one is born a man. You're not born a man. I'm not born a man.
I'm saying that no. I think
we're getting silly.
You can see the professor start squirming, searching for answers that just aren't there. His logic begins wobbling like a Jenga tower. He argues that categories like man and woman are too broad to matter. But Rogan fires back. Yeah, but we can still define them biologically, just like we do with animals. And that's when the Doberman analogy drops. Rogan says, if I pay for a female Doberman and the breeder gives me a male, then says, well, he identifies as female. I'm calling that crazy and asking for my money back. Tell me you wouldn't do the same. No one, and I mean no one, would accept that logic in the real world.
Male Dobermans and female Dobermans, right? You can't, like, if you go to buy a male Doberman and the guy gives you a female Doberman, he goes, oh, but she identifies as being a male. It's just an invention, man. This is a male. But she's a male. You can't disrespect her by saying she's not a male. You would say that guy's crazy and you want your money back.
Are there any two females who are identical?
Two female what?
Anything.
I mean, if you have a really good breeder, you can get pretty goddamn close if you're talking about dogs.
No. There are no two organisms that are identical. Certainly not.
They're not identical down to the hair. You got me on a technicality, but you can still categorize them as XY or XX chromosomes.
Here's the thing. We all know categories aren't perfect. Nature throws curveballs sometimes, but that doesn't make the categories useless. You don't throw out the concept of male just because a few men are infertile. Similarly, you don't erase the category of bird just because ostriches can't fly. But the professor doesn't see it that way. He tries to use infertility as a gotcha, asking, what about men who can't get a woman pregnant? Why are they still men? Rogan shuts that down immediately. Those are rare exceptions, not the rule.
The category of man becomes meaningless.
Does it?
Yeah, we just did this, man.
No, we didn't. We definitely didn't do this.
Yoel Romero and Andy Dick are both
it's a broad category. The lines get blurry at the ends of the spectrum, and I think they cross over. The male-female lines do cross over when you get to that Kenyan runner and Andy Dick.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's so broad that it becomes, to me, pretty damn meaningless.
Well, the numbers are incredibly small at those crossover marks. You're talking about a very, very small percentage of the population.
Neither Andy Dick nor Yoel Romero are trans people, right?
Andy might be.
They are so different, though, physically in every way.
Okay, yeah.
But we both put them in this silly category called man. What the hell does that mean anymore?
Andy has children. He made them. He impregnated different women and got babies from them.
There's a lot of people called men who don't and can't.
Okay, yeah, but that's rare.
The overwhelming majority of men can. You don't change the definition for everyone based on the rare few who can't. And then, brace yourself, the professor compares infertile men to people with sickle cell anemia. Yep, he actually says the percentage of infertile men is about the same as the percentage of black people with sickle cell. So, if infertile men can still be called men, then what?
So that's one characteristic.
But hold on a second. You're making it as if it's a really common thing. When you're talking about like a small fraction of the men can't make babies. An incredibly small fraction. The vast majority of males with the XY chromosome who have penises are capable of impregnating a female with an XX chromosome. I mean, and the male was born a male, the female was born a female.
Right.
So what do you mean that you aren't born a man or you aren't born a female?
Right, so there are many, many characteristics, right, that we assign to the category of man. Many of them.
Okay.
That's one characteristic. Okay? So why is that characteristic in the man category? If, in particular, that there are some men who don't share that characteristic.
But which ones don't? That's the aberration. The aberration is the ones that don't.
Why is it an aberration?
I'm not even sure where he was going with that. But whatever point he thought he was making, it crashed and burned immediately. Here's the problem. Black people are not a tiny global minority like infertile men. Entire continents, whole cultures, millions of people. This isn't a rare exception. So putting them in the same statistical conversation as uncommon genetic conditions, that's not just bad logic. It's insulting logic. Rogan wasn't having any of it. From there, things kept getting worse for the professor. He starts moving the goalposts, bringing in examples about gay men and bisexual behavior, thinking it will somehow derail Rogan's argument. He claims that not all men are attracted to women, so attraction can't define being male. Sure, but no one ever said attraction alone defines it. Sexual orientation and biological sex are different. Gay men are still men. Lesbians are still women. Even the LGBTQ+ community understands that distinction.
Well, making a definition, like saying a guy who is born a guy who gravitates towards male activities, likes females, all those things, by saying that that's a man, that this is a born man, and you're saying no one is.
So if you're saying if those characteristics are naturally determined, then all of us guys who don't do those things are unnatural.
Which things are those?
All the things
to women,
whatever it is that you characterize as being male, right?
But that's so common with males.
What is?
Being attracted to women, engaging in sex with women.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Have you heard of gay people?
Yes, it's a small percentage of the population of men. Is it 1%? Is it 10%?
Yeah,
1 out of 10?
I mean, it's certainly a lot of people, isn't it?
Well, it's a lot of people when you think about the 350 million people we have living in America. Sure.
Take all the men. Let's do this. Take all the men who are straight up homosexual, always have been. Hold on.
But you can classify them as gay men.
And here's the kicker. After insisting there's no such thing as men or women, the professor slips up and starts calling these people men again in his own examples.
Take all the men. Let's do this. Take all the men who are straight up homosexual, always have been. Hold on.
But you can classify them as gay men.
I know. Hold on. So just take that, whatever that is.
Okay.
If it's 1 or 2 or 5 or 10%, whatever it is. Only been homosexual 100%, never been attracted to a woman, period. Okay. Okay, fine. That's still a really significant number. I'm not done. Hang on. Then take the men who don't identify as homosexual, have had sex with women, have been attracted to women, but have fucked men.
Prisoners.
Pretty damn big number there. Pretty damn... Oh.
Wait a minute. How many guys do you think that are attracted to women but still fuck men?
So the Kinsey study,
sure,
in the 1940s and 50s, found that it was, I think, 30%.
What?
Yes.
30% of men fuck men?
Reached orgasm in a sexual experience with another man, yes.
30%?
Yes.
Oh, so now man is a valid category. You can't have it both ways. If biology doesn't matter, you can't pull out biological terms just when it suits your argument. This is where Rogan really hits the point. He doesn't yell. He doesn't insult. He just asks simple, grounded questions. The contradictions pile up so fast you can't keep track. The no one is born anything stance collapses under reality. And you can see it. The professor knows he's losing ground, but he can't stop sliding.
I've personally known many men who you would consider straight, who identify as straight, who have done something with men. Either given them a blowjob, gotten a blowjob, had full-on sex, jerked each other off.
Jesus, you're hanging out with weird crowds,
I'm surprised this is news to you.
Well, it's news in that even if they did do that, you're talking about individual sexual acts between people who are male or female, right? You're still talking about a man. Still talking about a man that's having sex with other men. You're defining it in that way. You're literally saying a guy. You are saying guys who've sucked other guys' dicks. A guy who's done it to a guy. You're saying a man.
And here's the bigger point. This isn't just about one professor on one podcast. It's a snapshot of what's happening on campuses across the country. Instead of teaching critical thinking, too many professors push ideology. They tell students what to think instead of how to think. They wrap it in academic jargon, but strip it down, and it's feelings over facts. Feelings aren't bad, they're human, but they don't replace reality. If you redefine truth based on personal emotion, everything becomes negotiable. And when reality is negotiable, chaos follows. That's why conversations like this matter. That's why someone like Rogan, willing to ask obvious questions, is so important. It's not about humiliating anyone, it's about holding ideas accountable. If an idea can't survive basic questions, it shouldn't drive public policy, rewrite language, or reshape education. This exchange is a masterclass in why clarity matters. If your worldview can't explain what a man or woman is without contradictions, it's time to revisit it. If defending your belief means moving goalposts and using bad analogies, you're defending ideology, not truth. And here's the funny part. Rogan didn't destroy the professor by shouting. He let him destroy himself. The questions were the weapon, the answers or lack of them were the ammunition. One of the oldest debate strategies, let your opponent talk long enough, and they reveal everything. So, what's the takeaway? Simple. Biology is real. Categories aren't meaningless just because they're not perfect. Truth doesn't bend because it's uncomfortable. You can live however you want, identify however you want, and express yourself however you want. That's freedom. But erasing reality isn't expanding freedom. I'll leave you with this. If someone says no one is born anything, ask what they were born as. Watch what happens next. If you loved watching Rogan dismantle this step by step, hit like so more people see. it. For more no-nonsense breakdowns of debates like this, subscribe. Drop a comment. Do you think the professor actually believed what he said? Or was he too deep in ideology to admit reality? One thing's clear, this conversation isn't over.